Hello and welcome to We Never Met, the podcast where I have interesting strangers on every single week. Today we have
Andres Crovetti.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
We've already been chatting. We're off to the races.
We're diving in.
We're already getting in. So we talked about it a little bit, but just give people sort of, you're a multi-instrumentalist. You play tons of instruments. I saw like a xylophone even on your Instagram. You dabble in a lot of things.
Yeah, I dabble. Probably the vibraphone is technically that one. With the metal bars. Yep. I play xylophone. I studied percussion and I'm a drummer by trade. That's the first instrument I've ever played. So drum set, but then percussion kind of naturally leads you to learn a ton of different instruments all the time because you're just constantly having to pick up something new and figure out how it works. So that kind of has always been a part of my thing. And I played guitar for a long time. So I've just kind of I feel like a lot of musicians, once you learn one instrument, you just start picking up other ones and it's oh, this is an A. Now that's an okay, I can figure this out. Yeah,
because is there a different learning curve for different instruments? I would assume, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Each one has their own idiomatic things that it's okay, you have to figure this out. Technique things. Yeah. And I think certain instruments just literally to make a sound on them is way harder. Trumpet. I tried trumpet once.
Trumpet.
Really?
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And instantly I was just no, this is not going to work.
And way hard.
I ended up having I have tons of friends that play trumpet.
Okay.
And all I would hear about is their agony that they're constantly in of how you have to practice every day. Cause it's a weird, set of muscles that you never use otherwise. So if you don't practice, they start to get weak and then you just can't play anymore.
You can't even produce sound, which is the key.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost it was this, I don't know. Anyway, it seemed like it was a hard, you just have to play it every day. And I'm definitely not that disciplined anyway.
Yeah.
But, other ones, everything has its own little things about the instrument that you can kind of figure out and be okay, this is how I actually do this or whatever. But once you learn one instrument, I think the more you learn, they get easier, at least to play some songs and be able to hang, but to actually play them. I think any individual instrument can be a whole lifetime of study if you want to get
really
virtuoso status.
Yeah. So were you always like that from a young age, or did that come later in life where you're really into instruments?
I feel like I've been learning like it for a while. I feel like I have memories of plunking away on a piano at my grandparents' house. And then I started playing drums when I was really in third grade. Oh, wow. Because my sister was taking piano lessons and my parents were just kind of well, you should take a instrument too, but you can pick, which was a cool parenting move. Yeah. So I picked drums because they were loud. And I remember going to a parade and when the drums marched past, I was whoa, it's so loud. I can feel it in my chest.
Yeah.
So then I started taking drum lessons. But then my school had music in the school public or music classes and band classes and stuff. So it was an option to play music. So I just was kind of always noodling on things and had access to them. And my drum lessons took place at a guitar store, a music store. So you could, as you were walking in and out, you just see all these instruments all the time. And it was
where'd you go to? Lincoln Music or something?
No, so it was called White House of Music. Okay. And actually when I started, it was called GW, and then they got bought by White House of Music.
Okay.
And then my teacher left there to go teach somewhere else because they kind of changed how they were doing their private lessons. But then I started working at that place because when I was in high school, I needed a job, so I did that. So I've just been around music store and retail stuff, plus taking lessons, learning instruments. It's kind of just always been around.
So you started working at the music store, and did that sort of open you up to playing more than just drums then? Because you got all this access to all these instruments.
Yeah, definitely. That was probably where it really went off the rails, because I was already thinking about doing music more seriously. Yeah. Because I was in marching band and stuff, and we would when I was a sophomore in college, we played in a Thanksgiving Day parade in Hawaii.
That's
and so
cool.
To play music with my friends and travel around, I was whoa, this is sick. And then at some point I'd learned that you could major in music. I didn't even know that was a thing because my dad was a college professor, but he taught civil engineering at Marquette, which is in Milwaukee.
Cool. Yeah.
And I was pretty much just I never thought about it. I just figured that's where I was going to go, and I'd probably study that as well. So I knew I was going to go to college and probably just study some sciencey engineering thing.
Sure.
But then once I learned that music was even a major, then it was kind of a game changer. But then working at that store, is definitely when I bought a lot of gear, but I also continued to work in music stores even while I was in college and after college. Like
really?
Music retail was typically my like 9 to 5 pay my bills job for a long time. But yeah, that's when I rented a trumpet because they had all these band instruments and stuff at the place I worked in high school. So I rented a trumpet, tried that because I was listening to a lot of jazz at the time. And I was like, yeah, trumpet, like Miles Davis is so cool.
Yeah.
But then after playing it for 2 nights, I was like, no, I can't. It's like giving me a headache just trying to like make sound consistently. So then I got a saxophone, which I actually kept for a super long time. They let me just like borrow it kind of like on a short term basis, but I kept it like all the way through college. And then when I finally went to return it, it was probably like a good 10 years after I'd gotten it. And I went to the music store. Notice? No, I mean, like, I think they had just written it off. Like they thought someone rented it and didn't return it.
Yeah.
But like the music store had changed locations, obviously completely different set of staff. And when I went in to like return it, they were just kind of like, what? And they couldn't like find it in their system or whatever. But I was like, anyway, I'm not playing this anymore. It's definitely yours. Just like, I'm just going to leave it here. You can figure it out. Worst case scenario, just call it like a donation to the store and put it back in your rental pool. But like, it's not mine and I'm definitely not playing it anymore. But I was for a while because I love saxophone. But that's another one that I could see like, if I really wanted to get good at this, it's a lot more commitment. I can like play some songs and noodle around. But if I were to actually try to be in a band, I would have to really get a lot better. And I knew that wasn't going to happen. So I just was like, let some elementary school kid use this that actually wants to get good at sax. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you could like tier your instruments, your top tier obviously is probably drums, right? That's the one you think you're most solid at.
Yeah. I think like drum set is probably that's the one I've played the longest and that I have the most like chops in, that I could like sub in bands and play.
Yeah.
I've played guitar like second as long, but I'm not quite as good at that.
Okay.
And then, but keyboards and synths and stuff is what I've been playing more lately and putting more time into. So I'd say that like keys is actually where my like energy is going right now. Cause I actually practice like keyboards. I keep my chops up on drums to like sub in bands and stuff like that. But I'm not like trying to be a gigging drummer in that sense. Cause I was doing that for a while and it's just not really my thing.
What don't you like about it?
I feel like drums are super in a band. It's like a very supportive instrument. You have to be like, there's actually a lot of responsibility that I think when I was first starting to play drums, I just had fun. But like the more into music I got and like you'd play a gig and people come up to you and they're always like, oh my God, like drums are so important. And like, it's so nice when a band has a good drummer. And I'd always be like, okay, cool. But then as I've learned more about music and played more, it's like, it's actually huge, like responsibility to be giving everyone like the time because and like everyone assumes that the drummer is like keeping time for everyone, which like they kind of are, but also at a certain point everyone's keeping their own time. But then the drummer's kind of has more of a role for like the feel of everything, like if they're swinging it or laying back or playing on top of the beat or whatever. And that's just like a lot of control over your time. Plus like responsibility for everyone in the band to like, because if your feel is a certain way, then they kind of have to fit inside of that. Anyway, I was just like, it's kind of the same thing with saxophone where I was like, that's kind of the next tier if I want to get like really, really, really good. But I don't think I'm trying to do that because it's like, I like playing it and doing my thing, but like there's a certain next level that like to really push yourself to. And I was just like, I don't think I'm that committed to it, which is funny because I have a degree in it and stuff, but like it took getting that far. Cause I feel like it's like a maze where you just like see the thing to the end and then you're finally like, oh, there's a wall. Okay. Now I got to go back and like try something new or whatever. So that kind of happened with like drumming, I guess.
Well, if you're not cause were you drumming in like a band specifically that you were drumming in all the time? Cause you fill in for musicians too. And I assume that's a lot harder to like go and drum for a band that you aren't really a part of. Besides that one night. Is it hard to like pick up the songs or where am I supposed to go?
Right. Yeah. I actually do think it's hard because I know that I learn songs like really slowly. I like to just listen to them a ton and like I have to actually like write down the form of the song and like make myself a little sheet music if I actually need to like learn it and perform it really well. So and then I think too when you sub with a band, there's this added pressure because like you're just there for one night and you kind of just have one opportunity to like not screw up and prove to them that you were worth the hire. And there's always this, especially in like jobbing and gigging land that I was living in for a while. Like there is a lot of that, like external pressure to constantly like want to get the next gig and like be the guy for different bands. So it feels like when you sub with people, there is a little bit of like, well, if I really nail this, like maybe they'll call me again. Or I'll be in their band or whatever. And it's like a lot of pressure. Yeah. So obviously that's not all real, because half the time they just needed a drummer for one night, but they really like their actual drummer. And there's no like chance of them having you in the band
or whatever. Yeah.
But you put all that
in
pressure.
your mind it is. Yeah.
Exactly. So then I'm like learning the tunes furiously. And I think like it's harder when you don't want to like upset these people that you don't really know super well. Like if you show up and you didn't learn the songs that well.
Right.
So I think like there's a lot of added pressure in that way. But being in a band, because I was drumming for a while, I was in like 4 bands or 5 bands or something like that, playing vibraphone in one, like drum set in 2 other ones, gigging a bunch. But I think being in a band is also a different level of responsibility, because then you're like rehearsing all the time and need to be like invested in that project. So I was doing that for a while too, especially when I used to live in Minneapolis. So when I lived there, I was doing that a lot. And then I joined one band that was more of like a classical band that was like trumpets, 2 trumpets, trombone, French horn, tuba, and I was playing drum set and percussion. And that they would play concerts and then have like an educational package they put together to do clinics and things.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So that was like full-time touring, like 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And that was when I was like, okay, like this is just a more extreme version of what I was already doing, but like I'm still not super into it. So maybe I need to like kind of retool my approach, because I'm playing drums now like every day, teaching people, going to schools and like doing percussion master classes and stuff. And it's like, if you're not fully into
committed, that's a lot of time to drum.
Exactly.
If you're not fully into it.
And if it's not coming from like like an internal enjoyment of it, if you're just doing it like for the job or for the whatever. I think part of me was like, this is a job, it pays well, and the band had like a little bit of street cred, so I like thought maybe this is my first step to like getting into this scene of like that next tier of like professional stuff or whatever. But then as I was doing it, I was like, maybe not, you know, which I think happens to a lot of people. Like you think something's going to be really cool, but then once you start doing it, you're like, oh dang, I gotta change. So then I started like playing in less bands, doing more stuff, writing my own music, playing more keys, things that kind of just like trying to remove the external pressure of like, what do I think I should do? Or what have like people told me to do? Or what do I think looks cool? And instead just like, what do I actually like doing? You know? And I went all the way back in my head. It was kind of a weird time. It was very like transitional, because I was leaving that band and then moving out of an apartment and like thinking about moving to Milwaukee or just like somewhere new, because I was traveling so much. I wasn't really in Minneapolis a lot. And it was a good opportunity to be like, I could just move, you know, whatever. Maybe I should move to Milwaukee, which is what I did. But, anyway, I was like, started to make some changes and do some new things to like go back more into what I actually just enjoyed doing in my free time. And even I remember going all the way back to like middle school when I was playing more guitar, because I actually was playing more guitar than drums for a while. And my private drum teacher, who I was going to lessons every week, and he could obviously, teachers always know when you didn't practice or aren't really doing your thing. And you think that you're like fooling them, because you're playing and you're like, yeah, I'm totally like nailing this, even though I didn't touch it at all. But eventually one day my private drum teacher was just like, do you even want to do this? And I was like, he knows. He caught me. But he actually did like an amazing teacher move where he was like, I thought he was maybe like upset and and I didn't want to like disappoint him. So I was like, no, like I really like drums. I just blah. But then he asked like, well, what have you been doing instead of practicing? So I told him I've been playing more guitar, and I was like, but I didn't want to like quit drum lessons. I was just like, I've been liking guitar. So then he just asked like, what have you been playing on guitar? Because if there's guitar, there's probably drums. And if you already are learning the guitar parts, we should just learn the drum parts too. So then he like found this book of all like Led Zeppelin drum covers. And then I was like, okay, then I got way back into drums again. But I went back to that time when I was quitting that touring band, and I was like, well, I remember I was playing a lot of guitar. I was like recording little songs myself in my house, just like playing the like multiple guitar parts in a quick little drum thing with like the webcam microphone and stuff. But then I was just like, well, I've been like writing music and doing that on my own when I was like in middle school, and then I just kind of stopped. So I tried to like get back into that and whatever, which was cool. So anyway.
Because I had a similar thing growing up where, you know, your expectations of something are often very different than what it actually is. You know, I was like really into radio as a as a kid growing up, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And then like I started doing it, and like I was, you know, on air on radio stations, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, this isn't what I thought it would be at all. Right. Like, you know, this is very different. And I actually don't know if I want to do this, but it seems cool to do. So maybe I should keep doing it.
Right.
You know?
Or there's maybe a different way to do this thing than what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
You know? I think like, it's funny because that's like, I've been trying to live in that space now where I'm like, instead of thinking about what it would be like to do that thing, I'm just going to do it and then decide if it was cool or not. Cause I can like think about, oh, like that would be really cool if I did XYZ thing. And then you create this whole world of like
this narrative of what it would be like.
And then you get into it and you're like, oh, this sucks. Or like, or this is really fun. I didn't think it was going to be that fun, but it actually is, or whatever. But then like, I've talked to so many people that have essentially you can like zoom out and just label it that same thing where you thought something was going to be cool. You started doing it and then you were like, no, it's not cool.
Yeah.
Now I need to do something else. And that's like been kind of the story of my adult life. Cause I've done like just trying all sorts of random things to be like, is this cool? Do I want to do this all the time? I don't know. Yes. No. I used to fix band instruments for a while. Cause through the music store, they like, I was helping the repair shop. I worked at a different one when I was in the Twin Cities. It was like the smaller mom and pop place, which is just like an incredible place to work because they cared about you so much. It was very like Minnesota.
Sure.
They'd just be like,
very Midwestern.
Yeah. They like remember everything you tell them.
Yeah.
If you're like of whatever you're up to, and then they're like asking you about it down the road.
Yeah.
But they had a really well-known repair shop and they would do deliveries and like fix all these instruments for a lot of public schools in the area.
Okay.
So I helped them like go pick up the instruments, bring them back, catalog them all and all this stuff. And then eventually it was kind of natural for them to be like, well, do you want to learn how to fix some of these? Cause they'd always get really busy over summer.
Yeah.
So then they just like, someone had left and then they just needed an extra hand. So then they were like, well, you're already here all the time. Do you want to just try this? Yeah. And then I tried it. And at first I was like, this is so sick. I'm like working at a bench, fixing clarinets and stuff. But then I was like, but actually this sucks because I'm getting paid commission and I'm not good at this. And like my paycheck is going to be $50 because it took me like a week to fix one instrument. Whereas the people that are good at it could do it in like half an hour or whatever. So, but it was like, even when you try something and it doesn't work and then you make a shift, I still feel like you get little experience points that you like can keep in the back of your head for the next thing that comes up. Cause like now I've been trying to do more of my own writing and composing, but then also like recording stuff and being in recording studios. And I have a dream of just being self-employed and doing like all my own stuff. But like, I think about those days where I was fixing instruments cause they taught me a lot about like how to bill yourself and like how to kind of cover yourself. It's like, okay, this instrument should take an hour. So I'm going to charge an hour. It might only take me 45 minutes, but then this other instrument's going to take me an extra half an hour. So it all like balances stuff like that.
Yeah.
So now I was like, well, I keep finding myself like thinking back to other times and being like, man, I didn't like that experience. And when I was in it, I hated it. But now I'm like thinking about it and being like, I actually did learn something from that. So, okay, I guess it was worth it, even though it was annoying. So just like constantly shifting and moving.
Right.
And I don't know, I have this dream that like that maybe stops at some point and you're just doing your thing.
Yeah.
But I'm also not convinced that ever actually happens. That you just like, you're constantly changing and doing new stuff. Cause even when you like retire, for instance, then people think that's like your time to just chill. But I feel like I know people that are retired, my dad included, that like they just pick up a different hobby or start doing something they didn't have time for previously. Cause it's like you're
always changing. You're always developing, you know,
exactly.
You're a different person 5 years from now than you are now, you know,
totally
from the experiences. And I think, you know, when I was growing up, and I think it's probably being an adult and getting older too, is that like a lot of the things that you choose to do are based on expectations of other people and like what you think other people will think is really cool, not what you actually like.
Right.
You know? And so you fall into that trap a lot, I feel like. And as you grow older, you're like, well, who gives a shit what other people like or don't? It's honestly what I want.
Yeah.
You know?
I sometimes try to think to myself, like, and everyone's different for this, but like, I try to think to myself, like, how often do I care what someone else is doing, like with their life?
How
like
often
when
I think about that.
Yeah. Like you see someone and it's like, oh, that dude like is doing this thing, but I don't even think twice about it because I'm too caught up in like my own world. And it's kind of like starting to try to like remove other people's expectations so you can just like figure out what you actually like doing.
Sure.
And how you want to spend your time. because then usually other people will see that you're just like doing okay and be cool with that and see like, oh, this person seems like they're having fun or like enjoying their time here. Right. So that's cool. But yeah, I like it takes I think it does take work to like break the pattern of thinking like what someone else thinks of what you're doing. Especially, I think at first I thought it would be easier to just be making music and doing my own thing and be like, now here's a little world where like, I don't have to care what anyone thinks at all. But then you're trying to share it with other people and you're immediately like, actually, I care what everyone thinks. In fact, it's all I think about now. So then like you still have to rework it. Cause even when I play, like when I play my own music, which I've only done twice, and it's like, who's going to fire me? It's my band, like whatever, no matter how it goes, like it's just going to be happening and done. But I was still like, oh God, like I really hope this goes well. And I want people to like it and stuff. But you have to just like also let that go and just like do the thing.
Yeah. You know? I mean, cause you know who Brene Brown is? She's like that really hot, not hot physically, hot like she's, you know,
smoking.
Yeah, she's a smoking psychologist. But she has that Netflix special and there was something about not caring what other people think and stuff. And she said like, it's not about not caring what other people think because everyone cares, you know, it's about like choosing who matters, you know, who matters in your world. Like, because you can't take everyone's opinion in because that's just chaos, you know, but you got to pick the people that really matter and that like, okay, their opinion actually matters to me, you know, and I'll take that into consideration. But yeah, I mean, cause you do now, so you had an album that you released, called Instead Of, and then you also had an album release party. So how did that go? Like the concert? Cause you kind of talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, it was a wild time.
Yeah. Did you play the entire album?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We just like played, all the songs except for one, because there's one song on there that was just like straight improvisation the whole time. And it's kind of weird. Yeah. And I just like, that one didn't really seem like it would make sense to try to do live because like it just, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. Sure. And like it was a lot anyway, but, because it was weird because I had written all that music by myself. I played every instrument except for on one track I had someone play saxophone, but that was literally like the last one I was working on. Yeah. And I was just like, I want someone improvising over this. And I'm just kind of sick of listening to myself improvise. I would really just like someone else to be in the room. So I sent it to my friend, Nelson Devereaux, who's like an incredible saxophone player. And he is like one of the most musical people I know. So he like, you can just send him the song and give him like one sentence of like, just do this in this section or like whatever. And then he'll just send you something back that's like straight fire. And I have like, I'm lucky to have like a few friends like that. Yeah. But he is one of them. So I just was like, I know that he'll probably be able to do this quick. Cause I think I texted him first and then he said like, oh, like I don't have a ton of time, but I can maybe spend like an hour. And I was like, that's perfect. Cause literally just do like 3 takes of improvisation over this song. And then I'll just deal with it from there. So, but anyway, so to try to play that music live was kind of weird because I was like, well, now I have to think of like, who do I want to play what part? How do I do this? So I played that show in the Twin Cities partially because I knew like most of my musician friends live there. So it felt like a good place to try to do the release show since
Did you recently move here?
I moved to Chicago in August. Okay. Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Wow, cool. Yeah. And then I moved to Milwaukee in early 2018. Okay. So I like lived in Milwaukee for about 1.5 years and then moved here. Gotcha. And before that I was in Minneapolis.
And then before that you were in Wisconsin.
Yeah. In like high school. So I went to college in Minneapolis and then stayed there. Gotcha. And then came back. Yeah. So I've been kind of bopping around.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like most of my musician friends live there. I knew I could like put a band together in Minneapolis and I hadn't been there in a while. So I saw it as an excuse to like go there, hang out, see people. Originally, I was going to try to do like a recording studio internship as well. Cause this guy I used to live with was an engineer, but then it just ended up being more about the release show. Cause there's so much random like things to do. Cause I'd never really booked a show that was like all me. Like, so I set it up. I booked the opening acts. I put the band together, all this stuff. And it's like dumb how much work it is. Like, and
for one show too, think about like touring like
exactly.
that. Yeah.
I can't even, and like, I think it gets easier the more you do it, but like the first time there'd just be like, I'm glad that I was just there with a ton of open space. Cause I'd randomly be like, oh, I need to go like print off this thing or like make copies or like do this, or I need to send an email, or I need to take an hour to like make a Facebook post, or I need to finish this thing or whatever. I was listening to the masters like a week before the show. I was dubbing, I made cassettes because I thought that would be like easier, and I wanted some physical thing to give people.
Oh, sure.
But CDs, like I was just like, no one really listens to CDs. Cars don't have like CD players anymore, neither do laptops.
Yeah.
And like no one, so if I'm going to do something physical, like it doesn't really matter what it is because no one listens to it anyway. So I did cassettes, and of course,
that's cool.
A lot of people were like, cassettes? No one listens to cassettes. And I was like, well, yeah, but no one really listens to anything physical. So I don't really care what it is. I just know that this is cheaper and easier to do.
Yeah.
And I can give you something.
That's so cool. I think a cassette's cooler than a CD.
I like it. Yeah. It looks like music to me. Like a CD kind of looks like music too, but cassettes, like they just look like something that would have music on it. And then I just put a download code on the inside of that. And I was like, this, you can just, whatever. And plus, literally, if you just see my name, that's really all that I care about. And then look it up on Spotify because like it's on there too. So, because I think I printed off like, I made 60 tapes so far. And I think of all the download codes that have gone with those tapes, only like 2 people have actually taken the download code and downloaded the music. So it's like, it's not even really about that. It's just about having something.
It's more of like a pamphlet with a cassette in it.
Exactly. You know, and all my leftovers now, I've thought of just like, and I'm still probably going to do this, like just planting them random places around Chicago, like see if anyone actually looks at it and goes like, cool.
Can you track the download code? Like, can you see when someone downloads it?
I can see when it's downloaded, but it doesn't say like who or where or whatever. It just says like this code was redeemed so that you don't accidentally give it out twice. That was all like putting the cassettes together. I was recording. I bought a tape deck from a Goodwill, and I was like recording the tapes like up into like 2 hours before the show.
Really?
Because it takes like it's like half an hour's worth of music.
Okay.
And even if you do it at high speed, it still takes like 15 minutes to dub a tape.
Okay.
So I was just like I stayed with a friend. I was just sitting there with headphones on, like hitting record, and then it's playing. Then I like would just go chill for a minute, check back, flip the tape over, do it again. And like, it was cool. It was a fun experience, but it was just all stuff like that was what I was doing all the way up to the show. So then like, I think I was just so like wound up and wired. And then we're like rehearsing. We only really had with the full band, we were able to rehearse maybe like once with everyone. I think I rehearsed twice with like different pockets of people, but to get us all together in the same room,
which is like scary too.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It was maybe, we had like an hour and a half where we just ran everything, and it was like, any questions? This cool? Does this make sense? This will be fine.
Yeah.
This maybe won't, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But then, so when you're finally playing, it's just like, I thought that I would be more chill because I was like, finally, we can just play. Right. But in reality, I was just still like, you're so wound up and wired. Like you're just playing, trying to get through it. You're like concerned about who's going to be there. Like if people are actually going to come. Because it was on a Tuesday night, which was like, I really wanted to play at this one venue called Ice House. Okay. Because they host a lot of album release shows, and it just felt very like ceremonial to do mine there as well. But the only night they had was a Tuesday. And I was just like, whatever, I'll take whatever you have, because I don't even live in Minneapolis. So the fact that you're even open to booking this show is sick. So I'll do whatever. But then like people came, and it was fun. And the music I thought went really well. It sounded different than on the album, because on the actual album, it's all like synths and vibes and things that I could play in the computer. But then in that setting, it was like saxophone, trumpet, electric bass, drum set. I had some keys and some synth things going. And it just was in general like a lot more chill. And it was a cool experience because I was like, that was fun. I don't know that I would always perform this music this way. Sure. But it was good to like do that. And just go through the motions of like, I booked a show, I played it, I did all the socializing afterwards. Like that was cool. So it was a good like experience, definitely like a game changer, because after doing that, it totally reframed my approach to like playing music and performing with anyone. Cause it's just like, I think there's a lot of different worlds to live in, but there's like the jobbing thing where you're just like playing corporate gigs, weddings, learning tunes, playing cover bands, doing everything, playing jazz and whatever. But then there's also like when you're doing creative stuff or like your own original music, playing other people's original music, like that's just kind of a different bag. And I know a lot of people that can exist perfectly well in both worlds, where like they can go do a commercial gig or sit in with an orchestra or a big band, and then also go play like on your record release or something and bring the heat all the time. But I was just like, I only really want to exist in this like original music creative world. Obviously there's a lot less money to be made. It's a lot of work and it's weird, but like, it was just like so rewarding and so fun just to even be, there was a moment when I was playing where I was just like, this whole thing is like pretty much just because I decided to like
do it. Yeah.
And I'm like kind of in charge right now, which is crazy. And also like, it was just, I was like really happy with the turnout at Ice House in Minneapolis. There was 30 people that had paid plus like another 15 that were on the guest list. So there was like it's not like there was nobody there.
Right.
So there was a moment where I was looking around just like, at first I was caught up with like who didn't come, like people that said they were going to come and couldn't make it or whatever, or just like that it wasn't like a sold out crazy show.
Yeah.
But then I was just like, all of this is happening right here in this moment. And like all these people came to see this music. And like, I'm just super thankful that these people are here and we can like share this time.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was kind of a diva moment too, where I was like, this is like for my album, like this is my one little slice of like music life, because everyone's always trying to get people to come to their shows or like check out their stuff or promote their thing. And I was like, this is my little moment where like, this is my show. And it was like, cool. It was very humbling. Like it sounds like it could get you to a point where you're super egotistical. Like, everyone came to see me and like more people should come and I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I was just like, this is like, I'm super thankful for this. And then I played that music again in October and it was the same thing where I did it slightly differently with just a drummer and me. So I had a lot more like triggers and synth things happening, but that was in Milwaukee at Anodyne, which is a coffee shop I used to work at. And, like they have shows there all the time. So I had worked a ton of, sick. Yeah. So I like worked a ton of shows there.
Yeah.
And I just been there a lot. And then it was like symbolic of my like time in Milwaukee, because I was working there the entire time I lived in Milwaukee. So then to come back and play and like my parents were there, all this stuff. Cool. I was like, this show is also really sick. Cause like, this is another one where it's just, we're all hanging out basically for the purposes of this show. And another friend of mine was playing and he was the one that actually like booked that gig. So it was kind of his show as well. But even just for me to be able to play a set of my music. And it's really freeing because like, I don't need to go like totally off the rails, but like coming from a perspective of like going to school for music, looking for like a full-time job, all this stuff, like to start to kind of realize like, oh, like I can do this thing where I'm self-employed and just like an artist in my own right. And it's kind of like, it feels like a cheat code in the game of like living in our like capitalist country where you're just like, you know, like I can just get a job in service where I like work part-time and just make money there, but then I can do this and like I'm kind of free to just like have my own reign of my life, which is like, that was really fun. And that's kind of like the drug that like once you taste it, you're like, oh, I don't think I can work for like other people in the same capacity. Yeah. Anyway.
No, it's cool because it's cool that, you know, even to me, when people come out to things, you know, they're taking time and they're deciding that this is important, you know, they're taking time. They could have done anything, but they decided that they wanted to be there either because they care about you or they think your music is cool or whatever. You know, they took 3 hours out of their day and they're like, this is worthy of my time.
It's so sick. Cool. Yeah. It like makes you feel incredible because you're just like, and I like try to make a point of like talking to everyone that came to the show to be like, thank you for coming. And actually when I played in Minneapolis, like when that moment that I said where I kind of got caught up by like who was there, I started like, there's a dude that I used to know in the cities that every time I'd come to his shows, he would be like, Andres in the house or whatever, just because I'd be sitting there like, yeah. But I like just started actually trying to connect to like who was there. And I literally just was like, I just want to shout you all out right now. So I just went around the room and like pointed out everyone that was there and like said them by name. And there were some people that I couldn't see or like I didn't know their names. So I had to like skip them. But I have a friend in the city that's a singer and he's like a really well-known singer there. His name's Cameron Kinghorn, shameless plug. Nice. But he sings and like does the frontman thing all the time. And he was like, so that moment like really caught him because he was like, I've never seen anyone introduce the crowd like on stage. Like I was like, what up? We got so-and-so here. Boom, boom, boom. And he was like, he was just laughing so hard because he's like, funny. But he and some other people said like, you could tell that you just were feeling very like grateful for the people that were there. And I was like, yeah, because it's like, this was a big deal for me to put together. It's a Tuesday and you're all here. And same with like in Milwaukee for that other show. Like I was like, even it's Thursday night, but still like you're all here listening, like being in this moment and kind of like what I said before of like, that's action that people took. Like instead of like liking your Facebook post or being like, oh, it'd be cool if I came to the show. It's like you actually came and like put rubber to the road to like be here. And that's like the space I've been trying to live in where it's like, just do the thing so that the fact that there were people there watching, I was like, you're all doing the thing. Like you actually came, you didn't like comment on the post
It
and say
wasn't
like,
just a
sorry,
passive thing,
right.
yeah.
Which like, obviously I understand that people, you can't make every show. I skip stuff all the time. And like, you know, and I'll text them and be like, sorry, I can't make it. Like, so it's like, I don't expect people to just constantly be going to every show all the time. Yeah. It's just like makes your appreciation, I think, different. Cause I feel like sometimes, especially when you study music and like take it so seriously, there's kind of this like entitlement sometimes where you're like, this is really good. I know this is good. People should like want to come, just like with anyone that's in sales.
Yeah.
You're constantly trying to like sell your product. And hopefully you're like, I think this product is cool.
Yeah.
And like, I think other people should like it. I just need to get them to like it.
Yeah.
And same with like playing music. So I think that kind of getting a little bit of like humble pie and checking into reality of like, oh yeah, like not everyone's going to come to this. It's not like the most important thing to pretty much anyone else besides me. So the fact that people are here, that's huge. Yeah. And I think like, especially not having just played in other people's bands, I hadn't really before had to think about that responsibility of like,
sure.
Because on drums, it's like I was just playing drums and like I cared who came, but I didn't really have to care that much because it's not my band. It's not my thing.
I'm just here for one night.
Yeah. Or even when you're like in the band, but it's not like I didn't start this band.
Sure.
So then it's like, yeah, I'm in the band, but like it's not my project. And I think that's a really safe place to live where you're just like, I'm a side man. Like I just play in other people's bands.
Sure.
I'll make the music sound as fire as possible. I have this one role that I can fulfill super well, but like you're in charge of all the stuff.
Right. Because there's no emotional, like you can't get like hurt or something if you're in that space. It's like, this is their thing.
Yeah.
Not mine. So if whatever.
Yeah. Honestly, like it's like emotionally very safe because you're just like, you can kind of detach yourself. And sometimes that's really good because I feel like I see some like jobby musicians that they're so good at their instruments because it's like they don't have to worry about all the other stuff.
Yeah, they're just
and they can. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they know they're like, I'm here to play the bass super well.
Yeah.
And like all that other stuff, like it's your thing. And like, not that it's not important, but like I'm here to fill this specific role.
Sure.
And same with like recording engineering and stuff. Sometimes it's like, this is your creative stuff and like you're all wrapped up in the emotional business, but like
you need someone to ground you a little bit. Yeah.
You need people that are kind of more in a chill headspace to be like, this song is too long, or like you started this song a little too fast. I'm going to bring us back down to a chill place where the song should actually be. So like that, I don't think it's like necessarily that one way of being is better than the other, but like for me, I think there was part of me that wanted to like be more in charge and have more of like an emotional investment. Cause I typically am naturally like, I invest heavily like in everything I do and I can't not, it's hard. Like even this morning, I woke up at like 7:00 because I was like, I'm going to go do like a podcast. That's cool. Like I'm going to be up and like ready. I'm going to read these questions, like go get breakfast and like be ready. So like to not be emotionally invested, I think wasn't for me the right thing. So then to be doing that and being in that space where now I'm in charge and like performing the show, it's my music. I booked it. Like this is way different. It was just a totally different, it just, like I said, so that's the long form answer to like, it totally reshaped how I approached playing. Cause now there's like this whole other bag that I wasn't a part of. And it also goes back to what I said before of like, sometimes you need to like make a big shift of like, okay, I did this thing and I didn't really like it. Now I need to change. Yeah. But then sometimes it's like, oh, I can still do this thing. I just need to do it differently because there's more than one way to do this thing. So for me, I went through a phase of like, maybe I don't really want to play music anymore, like in this professional way. Maybe I just kind of want to do something else. I was checking out music therapy. Okay. Because my sister is an art therapist. Okay. And so hearing her talk about it, I was like, that seems really cool. And I think it is really cool and super important. But when I was like looking into doing that, I couldn't stop thinking about like still playing. And I was like, I don't think I actually need to make this big of a change. Yeah. I think I just need to retool how I'm doing what I'm doing. And sometimes you do need to like make a hard shift. Sure. But then sometimes it ended up for me being like, oh, I didn't need to like quit music or like totally stop. I just needed to change and do more of this where I'm like, I'm invested in it deeper and it's my stuff. And like, my approach is just a lot different. So then now I feel like I'm in a much better place where I like understand how I'm trying to do it, which is good. And I think I had to do that because moving here, I was like, you can do anything there, like in Chicago. Sure. But there's so much to do and so many people like trying to do. Yeah. Almost. If you're not like super dialed into what you're trying to do, I feel like you can just get caught in the well of like just bopping around doing whatever, like kind of aimless sort of thing. Cause I was like, I felt a pressure to like have my shit together. Sorry. before like to have that before I came here, so that I knew like you can get what you want if you like know what you want. But if you don't know, anything will pop up and be like, oh, I could play a gig in this band, or like I can teach music here, or like maybe I'll do whatever. But I felt like I really needed to like hone my stuff. And even once I got here, the first month I was looking for jobs and just kind of like still back in that phase of like, well, like I thought I wanted to do this, but now I'm here in Chicago. Yeah. Maybe I need to do something different. I should apply for this job. Maybe I'll look for a full-time job. But then there were a couple moments where I was still like, no, my sister's really into cooking. And like I said, I live with her. So like, obviously she's going to have an effect on like my being. So we were watching like MasterChef Junior, which is a sick show. It's really awesome because like these kiddos are so committed to the craft of cooking. Yeah. And they're just getting slayed by like Gordon Ramsay and whoever, but not in a mean way. Cause I think with kids, it's different because I feel like sometimes Gordon Ramsay, I mean, he's kind of a weird person, but like he can be really hard on adults because it's like, there's an expectation that they should know what they're doing. Right. But with the kiddos, he was like from a much more chill place of like, okay, like you're growing, I'm giving you actual
advice and constructive criticism.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, if this is undercooked, like I'm going to tell you, I'm not just going to pretend I like it because I'm your mom that you cooked for. Like, if you're trying to do this seriously, but then watching these kiddos like take the feedback in stride and use it to be better. I was like, dude, I don't even think I could do that right now. Like if someone listened to my album that I released and was like ripping on it, like a musician that I really dug, it would take a lot for me to be like, they mean well, like they're just giving me constructive feedback. Be okay. I would have been probably. So anyway, I was watching cooking shows with her and like reading cooking books and thinking about that and just kind of like, no, I'm still like, I have a craft that I'm working on. I just need to figure out how to do that here because the context is different. But like,
I think with kids though, it's a lot easier to be in that space because ego is something that develops, you know, like when you're a kid, it's sort of like, you don't have the life experience to be like, I am the bomb at this, you know, like you don't know what you're talking about, man, you know?
Yeah. They weren't really like fighting back with Gordon. They were just like, thank you, chef. Chef.
They're like,
you know?
they just like think it's cool that they're there.
Yeah,
you know
honestly.
what I mean? And then as you grow older and I think there's like a tremendous amount of pressure from what you're talking about before. And I felt this too, as you grow older, it's like, oh, I need to know what I'm doing. I need to know now. Like I'm almost 30. Like what am I doing? You know, what do I like? And then you have this whole crisis of like character and like where you want to be and like, what do you want to do? And am I even doing the right thing? And I think as you grow older, it's like, there's like an expectation in the world that you should like, okay, by 30 and in your 30s or 40 or whatever, you should know where you're going and what you're doing and have a family and have a house. And like, you know, all this stuff gets pushed on you. And it's like, well, some people don't find what they like until they're 40, you know, and that's fine. Yeah. You know, it's just sort of, you just got to try a bunch of stuff like what you're talking about. And eventually something will light your fire.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Or like, even if it doesn't, at least you like tried a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And I feel like we're kind of like and we have been for a little while, but like we're like generationally in that mode where like a lot of people are trying to break those expectations of like what is normal or like what you should be doing for like all across the spectrum of like how you should identify, what your sexuality should be, like what you should be doing with your life. And like, we're trying to break that down, but it kind of does take like going through it and being like I didn't even realize all these expectations that either were like put on me or that I put on myself. And then I'm suddenly like, but no. And then it takes like sometimes other people being like, it's okay. Like you didn't, cause even like there's sometimes that you think people have expectations of you that aren't even actually real. Like, like, you know, whatever. Like I talk to my parents about what I'm going to do and they're just like, they're cool because like they'll always give you like advice about what they think you should do. Or like they'll have an opinion, but they're always like cool with whatever you end up doing. Like my parents were never like, don't study music. They were just like, okay, like do it in the best way you can. And they helped me do that. Or like, I'm going to move to Milwaukee and they're just like, okay. Like they're because, and you're afraid to tell them because you're like, they're going to like maybe not be down or like try to talk me out of it. But, and like most people don't actually have that strong of an expectation on you. They just like want you to be happy. Like, so they'll just be like, oh, like if you think that's better, that's fine. Like I'll support that if you think that's cool. And obviously not everyone has relationships like that are like freeing and supportive, but like you start to realize like, oh like no one was forcing me to do anything. No one really cares what I'm doing. Right. I'm just going to try this and like keep trying new stuff. And I think too, like, the expectation of like having it figured out, because I think too that like the more that I've tried to live in that world of like, do people have it figured out? Like, what's going on? Like, more and more people
are panicking.
Yeah, right. And I feel like more and more people are trying to be transparent about like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Fine. Yeah.
I remember this one video I was like on Instagram, and Van Jones like posted a little selfie video where he was like, I just booked Oprah Winfrey for my show. And like, I know that like that shouldn't be that big of a deal because I'm like at this level doing this thing. But like, honestly, it is a big deal for me. And like, I know I should pretend like it's not a big deal, but if you knew my story and you knew what I'd been through to get here, like this is actually a big deal. And I am kind of freaking out. And it's like, he was just being super open and transparent and like, keep going. Cause none of us really know what we're doing or where it's going to lead. I don't know. And that's kind of also been the theme of my life in general, where I'm like always trying to do that of be like, why are we were all keeping this lie going? Why don't we just not like, or like when people pretend like everyone's pretending that they like something. And then suddenly someone's like, actually, I don't like that. And everyone's like, actually, I don't like that either. And it's like, why can't we just be real and like just be honest? Yeah. So like the same with the life stuff of like feeling like you have it figured out. I feel like more and more I've learned that people are just trying stuff. When they have a kid, they have no clue what to do with this child. They're just trying to keep it alive. And you're like, whatever. And then like you get experience and then you know what you're doing, but like it's because you already did it and you're onto something new. So it's just like, I just want to like grab everyone and be like, why don't we all just take a minute, be honest about everything, and then we can all be on the same page of like, okay, and like admitting how we actually feel about stuff. Cause it's just like people can relax a little bit and be like, oh yeah, it's okay that I don't have that figured out. Or like, oh, I didn't really know that either. Or like, oh, I don't actually like kale. I just heard that everyone liked kale and it's good for you. So I'm pretending that I like kale. It's no, don't. Like, you don't have to lie. It's fine. So I just like, I always appreciate like when people are as like authentic and honest. And I feel like those are like skills that I've been trying to cultivate of just like, this is how I feel. And like, I'd rather be open and honest about being wrong and then have someone help me fix it.
Right.
Versus just like pretending I'm not wrong. So it's like that fear of like being wrong. I'm like, no, I'm going to be open and honest. And sometimes I am wrong. Like sometimes I have an opinion that's misinformed and stupid, but like if I don't voice it, I can't fix it. But like now I feel like I have my stuff together to be like, okay, I can hang in this like playground party zone, which I think comes too with like playing music and trying to be an artist, where you're like, you kind of have to do it in a way that to me that like feels healthy and good. You have to have like a certain amount of your stuff together to be like, oh, the fact that, which I'm still working on, but like, oh, the fact that there's only 10 people here, like that's not me. That's just a thing that happened. It's okay. Let's make great music for those people that are here.
Right.
Or like, oh, like no one's buying my cassette or listening to it on Spotify. Like that doesn't make me irreparably sad. That's just like a thing. Cause it's like, whatever. Also, I still have people be like, I didn't even know it was on Spotify. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Cause that's partially me. I'm not like promoting it a ton or whatever, but like, so like building up those things in yourself so that you can go out and be like at the party. Cause to me, I sometimes I just naturally enjoy spending time alone and like reflecting, and I'm alone a lot. So like, but then when I'm around people, I feel like it's a party. Like, I'm like, we're out here like in society, like doing the thing, or like I'm on the L, just like, look at us all like doing life. But like, it like, cause it, for me to like exist in that world properly, it like takes a lot of work, you know, to be able to be like, I can hang. If someone makes fun of my shoes, like I'll laugh. I won't be like, I gotta go buy new shoes or whatever. And like, so, I just think it's like worth it to then kind of be out there in the party where we're all around each other, like doing the thing. But like, you know, sometimes that also then ends up being the same as like the Santa Claus thing, where it's like, this is a party, but we're all kind of just upholding the same thing, but not really, like just day to day, like living, you know. I think that, it's just, I feel like when I have all my stuff together and I can go out there and I'm like a more productive member of the hang, because I'm like, I'm good. Like, let's do it. And it makes it a lot easier to just like be present, be around the people and do the thing, whether it's like playing music or waiting tables. Like I don't feel that different when I'm doing either thing. I'm just like there for that time and doing it. And sometimes, whatever. It's like, I'm here doing this thing and I like have all my side stuff dealt with so that I can just be here doing this right now. And that's like huge, because people are often like in their own world doing their own stuff, because it's like it needs attention and it hasn't gotten it yet. So I don't know. These are, you can tell I spend a lot of time alone because I'm just like,
because no, I mean, like, if you felt any other way, like if things just like crippled you, I mean, you wouldn't be able to get back up on stage anyways. If you were like, oh, I'm so concerned about like everyone's opinion and like if people come to this, it's like, well, you'd stop doing it because like
honestly,
eventually you would just be like, I can't do that again. I can't go up there. You know what I mean?
There was a moment before my show in Milwaukee where I was like, is this worth it? Like literally I was just like, cause I got super sick right before the show too, because I was like working a bunch and then I was like retooling how I was going to play. I like was building this Ableton set and like doing all this stuff, rehearsing, and then like working a lot. And then I just got sick and I was like, so right before the show, like I was again printing out like cassette sleeves and folding them and looking at who was in the crowd. And like, it wasn't that many people yet. And I was just like, this is so much, like, is this worth it? But then at the end of the night, when I like finally got home and like the next day, I was just like, it is worth it. You just have to like take care of yourself and do all these things and like be ready for it so that you can hang. Cause it will kind of like beat you down a little bit, but it's really fun and really worth it. And it's like, I think I also I exhausted all the other possibilities of like what I wanted to do. And I feel like, like being an artist, self-employed, doing my thing, recording, doing creative stuff, like whatever, working a side hustle just to like pay my bills. Like this is a recipe for life that I dig right now. Yeah. So like, this is what I want to be doing. It's just that, sometimes it's hard. Yeah. So you have to be ready to like get back up there. And I actually just did a tour last weekend I have this duo project called Low Motion with a friend where she plays tabla. And then I have like synths and triggers and all this weird stuff. But like pretty much after every show, when we'd be driving back to where we were staying, we were like talking about it. And like, I would be like voicing all these thoughts of like, like this happened or blah. And then she was really good about just being like, don't worry about that. Or like, worry about this. Or like, actually that was cool. This wasn't, or whatever. And like, just like working through that to be like, okay, this is actually worth it. This is cool. I just need to have XYZ thing in place so that I can hang, so that when these things happen, it's cool, which is really just the same as life. Like, you're armed and ready. I feel like you're like at the defensive and ready for like, okay, when this thing comes or this thing comes, like now I have the tools to like deal with that. Yeah. And I can make it work. So that I just, it's a lot. And like, these are the things that I'm always thinking about when I'm just like going about my day. But I think it helps because then like when you're out doing it, you can just do the thing. And like we said way back, like get the rubber to the road and just go do the thing and then be able to handle like, it wasn't cool, I'll try something else, it's fine or whatever. So well,
I mean, you have to head out soon, so I just checked to make sure. I don't want to keep you too long.
No, you're fine. I feel good.
But so thanks for coming on, man. Let's plug. Okay, so how can people listen to your music and get in like, do you have a website too?
Yeah. Okay. I do have a website. So my name's Andres Crovetti, which is Crovetti, and then Andres is just Andres. I have a website which has my album right on it. You can just stream it there. It is on Spotify, as well as like Apple Music, all the like different streams. Cause luckily nowadays, like when you put it up, it just goes everywhere.
Oh yeah.
So I'm pretty sure you can find it like pretty much everywhere you can find music. You can buy it off Bandcamp as well. Bandcamp or the website are obviously like, if you want to buy it, most of the money goes to the artist if you buy it from those channels, or if you just buy it directly from me. And then honestly, like the most active like platform for me is Instagram. Like I just tend to be on there the most and share things there. So like if you look there, that's usually where I'll post like about a show that's coming up or something that I'm into, or like a Tatsuro Tuesday, City Pop plug, because I really love that stuff. And so like my Instagram is just my name with the period in between, Andres.Crovetti. That's probably like where I post most of the stuff that links to my website and Spotify and all that stuff. So
thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. This is sick. I feel like we could talk for another like 3 hours.
we could go all day.
I just dive right in to my thoughts.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.